and welcome to the Tavern Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor of the Tenkar's Tavern blog, and, lest we forget it or miss it, Tenkar's Tavern Discord server, the text chat always going on, and the Facebook community for Tenkar's Tavern. All different ways that you can participate if you so desire. Now, I spoke about the social contract, the 10-page fiasco, in my opinion. Now, mind you, once I went over it, the beginning, the first, page, half page, was good in setting the proper tone. It just jumped the shark. So we have a voicemail from Jason, and let's hear from Jason.
Hey Eric, Jason here. Just want to call to let you know, reference to social contract. I agree with you pretty much across the board on that. I think there is value in sitting down and having an agreement with the GM and the players. Maybe not a signed written one, right? Or, it doesn't hurt to write it out, but I don't know that you need to sign it and date it and, put a spot of blood on it. But there is value in setting the expectations of the game. And setting expectations, listen, players, this is what I expect from you. This is what you can expect from me. Everybody agreeing on the tone of the game. And if there is something, that's unacceptable. I think there is value in all that stuff. I agree with you that potty breaks and whatnot are, now we're getting in the ridiculous, right? So, oh well, pretty much agree with you. So take it easy. Keep it up. Talk to you later. Bye.
Again, I don't have a problem with the basic concept of the social contract, which is, hey, here's some ground rules. 10 pages of fucking ground rules that people are supposed to fill in, initial, circle, sign at the end. No. It's supposed to be a game. It's supposed to be fun. Whether the contract is binding or not, the idea that you need a contract that you are expected to sign, sharks have been jumped. So, but let's go beyond that. One of the questions I've been asked is, how do you maintain balance at your game table? And there's a lot of ways to look at that. Are we talking about long-term campaign balance? Are we talking about balance in the session? And here's where I'm going to come into this at. Most of the game mastering that I run these days are at conventions. So I'm getting people for 3 or 4 hours, mostly strangers to each other, or at a few conventions, maybe seen each other a couple of times, but acquaintances. But you're not. It's not a campaign game, so you're not able to use that crutch of long-term campaign balance. And well, you know what I'm saying. If we're running Swords and Wizardry Light, the magic user casts one fucking spell, and then they're throwing daggers, fighting with iron spikes, whatever. So how do you provide game balance when the rules themselves, as written, spread, fighters are more powerful in the beginning. They kind of wane toward the end, but magic users are one-trick ponies in the beginning, and then they become very powerful toward the end game. Thieves are situational. Clerics are heal bots. Yeah. How do you balance that out at a convention table? And I think the answer to that really is you don't. You balance out your players' interaction with the game itself. In other words, don't let that thief fall to the side and not be involved. Don't let that magic user who already cast their sleep spell suddenly feel they have nothing to do. Involve them. Now, a lot of times how I involve them is I use ability checks, stat checks. And if you're playing Swords and Wizardry, if you're playing any of the original older rules, There's no system for this. And to be honest with you, I have used different house ruled systems for this in my time. I've used, okay, well, roll, 3d6 if it's an average difficulty, and roll under your stat, and 46 if it's really hard, and 5d6 if it's insanely hard. And that can work. I've also done that simple roll a d20 under your stat. The more under your stat you are, the more you might learn, or the better off you might be. Tim Shorts has a system that he uses when he runs games. He has Gothridge Manor, the Gothridge Manor blog, the Gothridge Manor podcast. And you are basically rolling it, I think it's a target of 15. You get to add your level and your stat bonus. Now, Swords and Wizardry and for having lower stat bonuses than others, but it could still be a viable system. Now, you might say, Swords and Wizardry, why don't we make it roll a save? Roll your save and add your stat bonus, because now your save is going to go down every level and your stat bonus will help. It's a possibility. Maybe. We'll see what I come to at ShireCon next Saturday and what little house rule I use for that. I'm not even sure yet. I'm going to have to, crank that one out of my head. But it's an interesting concept because game balance in old school games was always, we're balancing the character classes against each other by the experience point tables. I don't know how well I agree with that and how well it worked. But be that as it may, I like to keep my players involved, and especially in a convention game. And I think that's for me, that's the game balance. If you can balance the involvement of all your players with the game session, you've succeeded. Just giving me things to think about. All right, folks. As always, thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. We've got a really good listenership. It's only getting stronger, so feel free to spread the word about the Tavern Chat podcast. As always, be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, and I will talk with you all tomorrow. Later, folks.